All right, fucking sexy guys and sexy gals. It's fantasy football with this sexy guy, Mclovin.
I just woke up. I was out cold. He's screaming at me.
Yeah, we got to get this football show in because I got a lot of errands to do and everything else. But hey, sleepy McLovin's better than no McLovin. So let's go right on into the news and notes here. As soon as I can open up this stupid thing. All right, it's loading forever. Here we go. So, sources say season-ending surgery likely for Trufant. Atlanta Falcons cornerback Desmond Trufant has a torn pectoral that is expected to require season-ending surgery, sources told ESPN's Adam Schefter.
That's a huge blow to that defense, especially Seattle is based on their defense not having one of their top corners. Who really is a really good corner. You just never hear about him because everyone talks about fucking what's his name, Richard Sherman.
There you go.
But he's a really good player. He's a vet. He's been in the league. I think he's made a couple Pro Bowls. Him being down is a huge factor, especially knowing what Seattle has to do. When you look at what's left in the NFC, okay. You're looking at the Cowboys, especially the Cowboys. Unless they really, fall apart, they're going to be the number one seed. They're going to win the NFC East. If you're looking at who's going to win the NFC North, it looks like Detroit has a straight shot, especially after beating Minnesota. They're up 2 games, so more or less they're up 2.5 games. Because in order for Minnesota to win that division, they have to be a game up because Detroit has two games on the tiebreaker. So the NFC North is going to be Detroit. Okay, the NFC South is looking like Atlanta, but if it's not Atlanta, unless Carolina comes out of nowhere or New Orleans comes out of nowhere, it's going to be one team from the NFC South. The NFC West is clearly just going to be Seattle. Okay. So then we look at, you have your 4 teams and you have your 2 wild cards. And as of right now, you're looking at 2 wild cards coming out of the NFC East in the way the Giants are 8-3, and then Washington is they have a tie. So I think they're
the second wild card.
4-1.
They're the second wild card as of right now.
So when you look at that, those are your 6 teams in the NFC East, unless barring something happening that is something out of this world. So basically, when you're looking at it like that, you're looking at Seattle probably as the 2 seed, which means they'd have a bye. But still, back to Marcus Trufant being out is huge because they need him, for that defense to be steady. So, it should be fun to watch in the NFC. We'll go from there. But basically, that's kind of how the NFC is going to shake out as far as the seeds. You're going to have Dallas be the 1 seed. You're going to have probably Seattle be the 2 seed. The 3 seed is probably going to be, Detroit. The 4 seed is probably going to be Atlanta. The 5 seed is probably going to be the Giants, and then the 6 seed is going to be Washington. So Seattle is really going to need everyone healthy on the defensive side of the ball. Now they really have to find someone to fill in for their corner here.
So the sources say that Jets scrambled for Forte after Pat's call. The Jets' hesitation in signing Matt Forte at the start of free agency almost led the running back to join the Patriots, sources told ESPN. Basically what happened in this article, and I read this one, is the Jets were worried about his health. So they prolonged in signing him. Then he went to New England. Once they heard that he was in New England for an interview, they immediately put an offer on the table and said, screw his health. We don't care. We don't want the Pats to get him.
That's funny because I don't see I don't know why the Patriots would sign him, okay? He got a pretty big deal from New York too.
3 years, $12 million.
Yeah. Maybe New England was doing that intentionally, knowing that the Jets were going to do what they did. Matt Forte, I remember this guy. I remember watching him. I evaluated him at Tulane. He was a really good back. Basically, when he came into the league, he was a guy that could run the ball, he could catch the ball in the backfield, and he could block. He was a 3-down back. He had a very good career with the Chicago Bears. Obviously, being a running back in the NFL, when it came up for his contract, he had a lot of injuries, which means that his value wasn't as he wasn't going to get paid as much money as he thought he was going to get paid because of his declining value on the for his health. The Jets, when they signed him, I thought it was a really good signing because Forte still had a lot left in the tank as far as being able to play. I think he's played every game this year. So even though he's battled different injuries, he's been able to play. I have him on my fantasy team. Basically, he's had a decent year, but it all stems from the team that he's on, meaning that the Jets are always, down in the game, so they have to, they give up on the run. If he had gone to New England, it would have been a whole different story. Then New England's looking at, not really having, James White, and then basically even when Deion Lewis came back, they'd still have Blunt as their short yards back, and then Forte. But if I were to guess, I'd say that New England was just doing this as a bluff in order for the Jets to sign Forte with his injuries in the past.
All right. So the next article up for grabs here is this one, and it's Redskins will tag Cousins again if no deal. Kirk Cousins will be back in Washington next season, either with a long-term extension or on a one-year franchise tag, a source told ESPN.
Well, did it say what they paid him?
Huh?
From last year's franchise tag?
I have no idea what it was.
Okay. Well, if they re-tag him, it means that he either makes 110% of what he made this year or the top 5 average salaries from the quarterback position. So either way, he's getting paid. As a quarterback in the NFL, there's only 10 to 12 guys that can win you games and possibly win games in the playoffs. We haven't seen if Kirk Cousins can win any playoff games. He's had a great year. He had a great finish to last year. I think he is definitely a quarterback that you need to hang on. Now there comes a question of how much money they can agree upon. If you're Kirk Cousins, you want to sign a long-term deal so you can get your signing bonus, so you can get your money. Then it just comes a question of how much Washington is willing to give up. Now, if they do franchise him again, he'll probably be making somewhere in the $15, $16, $17, $18 million for a year. But still, a player never wants to be franchised because if they get hurt, then they don't have a contract to fall back on. So we'll see what happens.
Answer on A. Smith reinstatement due this week. Raiders linebacker Aldon Smith applied for a return to the NFL on October 3rd, and Commissioner Roger Goodell has to render a decision on his reinstatement by the end of this week.
Well, I mean, Aldon Smith, as we know, is an all-star defensive, end or outside linebacker. He was great when he was with San Francisco. Obviously, this is a guy that's done a lot of stupid things off the field, getting in trouble, making bomb threats at LAX. If he does come back, it's going to be a huge lift to that Raiders team, which is already, in my opinion, the best team in the AFC. I think if he does get reinstated, then that's going to be a huge addition to a Raiders team that's already, had a hell of a year.
Source: Bills offensive tackle Henderson facing 10-game ban. Bills offensive tackle Centrell Henderson could be suspended 10 games for a second violation of the NFL substance abuse policy, source told ESPN.
Yeah, I mean, people have drug problems, and then when that's what he's not waking up every morning, wanting to not get paid 10 weeks out of the 16 weeks in the NFL. He has a drug problem. He needs to figure that out. if he does get suspended, then he's in a lot of trouble because he's not making any money, and his value to an NFL team is not there because you don't know if this guy's going to get suspended again. So he needs to figure his life out.
Speaking of figuring his life out, Fisher says that Rams number 2 pick Robinson will return. Rams tackle Greg Robinson, the number 2 overall pick of the 2014 draft, was a healthy scratch for the Week 12 matchup against the Saints, but is expected to return next week.
Well, I mean, it's going to help, but it's not. They're pretty much their season's over. So if he does come back, he'll get some games under his belt going into next year.
Tucker goes long. Ravens place kicker nails 3 from 50 plus. Justin Tucker converted field goals from 52, 57, and 54 yards out for the Ravens in the first half Sunday. The first time a kicker has made 3 50-yard field goals in one half since 2012.
That's unbelievable. I mean, good for him. Anytime you hit 1 50-yarder in a game, never mind 3 in the first half. These days, especially this year when we talk about field goal kickers, everyone's having a down year except for this guy Tucker, who seems like he's got it together. So, it's going to be a huge lift. When you look at the AFC, especially the playoff picture, the NFC North between, it's going to come down between Baltimore and Pittsburgh, and basically, if this guy's knocking out 50 yarders, it's going to be that much, more helpful for the Ravens.
Cam gets first roughing the passer call since 14. The Oakland Raiders on Sunday became the first team called for a roughing the passer penalty against Carolina Panthers quarterback Cam Newton since Tampa Bay in Week 15 of the 2014 season.
Well, and I mean, the thing about Cam making his stink and all this other garbage that he's really a wine ball. It's nothing's fair. He's getting hit too hard. Whether they like it or not, the refs hear that, and they're probably looking to do it. So you're probably going to see more, coming up, more roughing the passers on Cam Newton, just because he's a little bitch.
Ravens commit intentional holding, run out clock. Leading by a touchdown, the Ravens successfully ran out the game's final 11 seconds on 4th down by intentionally committing holding penalties against all 9 Bengals who rushed their punter.
Hey, you got to do what you got to do to run the clock out, and if it's within the rules, I mean, then there's nothing the NFL can do about it. They'd have to throw 9 flags and call 9 holding penalties. So, Harbaugh is going above and beyond, trying to pull out his Bill Belichick to play within the rules. So good for him.
O'Brien won't bench Osweiler for Savage. Texans coach Bill O'Brien said he will not bench quarterback Brock Osweiler for backup Tom Savage.
Well, he can't. If Osweiler is healthy, they have to play him because they gave him all that money. Basically, Brock Osweiler, we've talked about him a lot during the show over the past, 10, 11 weeks. He's not a good quarterback. I'm not surprised that he's having a tough year. They gave him, top 5 money, but he's clearly not a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. Just by the main fact they gave him so much money, then they expected him to have a great year, and he's not the type of quarterback to be able to do that now or ever. And really, they signed off on a guy who played, half the year and was blessed with a great defense in Denver. And now he gets to Houston and he's exposed, and you can't bench him because you have to pay him all that money.
Bears linebacker Trevathan suffers a, quote, serious knee injury. Chicago Bears linebacker Danny Trevathan had to be helped off the field Sunday with what Coach John Fox described as a, quote, real serious right knee injury.
That's not good. It's not gonna. That's not gonna be good. And the Bears have had a shitty year, and this adds to it.
Kaepernick says Castro talk taken out of context. Colin Kaepernick defended his comments about Fidel Castro and said it's a, quote, false narrative to say he was a supporter of the late Cuban dictator's oppression.
Colin Kaepernick's a fucking idiot.
Seahawks offensive performance versus Buccaneers cause for concern. Quarterback Russell Wilson was sacked 6 times, and the Seahawks committed 3 turnovers as their 3-game win streak ended on Sunday.
Yeah, they didn't play well, but then they go on. I mean, earlier they went on the road and beat New England at New England, and the offense looked, stellar. So, everyone's entitled to a bad game. You got to give Tampa Bay a lot of credit rather than just saying Seattle's offense was that bad. You got to say Tampa Bay played a hell of a game. So I'm not worried about, if I'm Seattle, I'm not worried about their offense. They'll be there. They have a pro. Their signal caller, Russell Wilson, is an absolute pro. And they have a great head coach, so I wouldn't worry too much if you're Seattle.
Jackson gets teary-eyed after Browns' 12th loss. As he spoke at the podium after the Browns endured their 12th loss in 12 games, Coach Hugh Jackson turned emotional before composing himself and said going winless is, quote, the hardest thing ever.
Yeah, Hugh Jackson's a great guy. He's a great coach. He's just, he's a victim of the Browns, and it's like where coaches go to die is head coach of the Browns. I know I'm sure he's trying, but it's just like they don't have anybody. They don't have a quarterback. They don't have any. I mean, they have one guy in Pryor who's really done something this year. Other than that, they suck. And he's emotionally attached to the team, and he's a competitor, and he doesn't like to lose. And when you're 0-12, it really hits you hard. Hopefully they get a game, they get a win, because Hugh Jackson doesn't deserve. But he's not making any excuses. He says we're trying to win every week. He's not giving up. But it's tough to win in Cleveland, and that's something that we can all say, for the last 20 years is, since Belichick left Cleveland, they haven't really done anything, and it doesn't look like they're going to move any forward because they have a terrible football operations, and even with all these draft picks, they suck even worse next year. So too bad for Hugh Jackson.
Brady ties Peyton record with 200th career win. With New England's 22-17 victory over the Jets on Sunday, Patriots quarterback Tom Brady tied Peyton Manning for the most wins in NFL history.
Yeah, that's a huge deal. Peyton Manning, who was around forever, won a lot of games. Brady having his 200th win is huge. It just goes to show how consistent Tom Brady's been over the last 16 years as the head. The quarterback of the New England Patriots. All their 10-win seasons, and but basically 200 wins is a lot of wins when you only play 16 games a year. But it's hats off to him. It's hats off to the team. To Belichick, and I know he's got a lot more wins in that right arm. So as New England fans, they should be excited. But this is a monumental achievement for Tom Brady.
Giants cornerback Jenkins rips Pryor, cites zone coverage. Giants cornerback Janoris Jenkins ripped Terrell Pryor after the Browns receiver's 6-catch, 131-yard game Sunday.
It's all it's all talk. It doesn't really mean anything. Terrell Pryor's had a hell of a year. The lone star on a terrible Browns team. If the guy's saying that the only reason he had a good game was because they were in zone coverage, it doesn't really mean anything. So it's a non-event article.
Peyton relishes win via Twitter. Quote, "We all know why." Sean Payton clearly relished a victory over former Saints defensive coordinator Greg Williams and the Rams on Sunday, and he took to social media to express his pleasure in the win.
Well, the Rams suck, and Greg Williams is defensive coordinator. Greg Williams was also the defensive coordinator with the Saints when they went through that bounty gate and all the suspensions and all the when they were found guilty of targeting San Francisco players and getting paid for injuring them. Basically, Sean Payton just he let down his mature side and really wanted to shove it in his former defensive coordinator's face, which he did. And I think actions speak louder than words, and you sound childish when you come out and do it again on Twitter. So Sean Payton needs to just focusing on get to 500 and winning that division rather than it's like being an 8th grader and beating up a 2nd grader and then going out on Twitter and then saying, oh, I just beat the shit out of a 2nd grader. It's stupid. But.
RG3's money stolen from car at Brown's garage. Cleveland Browns quarterback Robert Griffin III and his girlfriend Greta Sadeko had money stolen from their car parked in the player's garage at First Energy Stadium.
I guess his teammates don't like him either.
Giants wide receiver Beckham mimics LeBron after touchdowns. Giants wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. twice imitated his friend LeBron James to celebrate scores Sunday, complete with the chalk toss.
Good for him.
Titans release struggling veteran corner Cox. The Titans released starting cornerback Parrish Cox and replaced him on the roster by promoting cornerback Kalen Reed from the practice squad.
I guess he wasn't getting the job done.
How the NFL could plug the Ravens' intentional foul loophole. The NFL could amend its rulebook to close the intentional foul loophole the Ravens used to sew up Sunday's win, but would such a change be worth it?
No, it would not. It would not be worth it. You're going to see this maybe once a year, just like it's happened just once a year. So it's something they're going to have to deal with, but it's not worth changing the rule.
Logan Thomas joins Lions practice squad as tight end. Logan Thomas joined the Lions practice squad Monday and is changing positions from quarterback to tight end.
Good for him. You got to do whatever you can to sustain the league and have a job. So, kudos to him.
Steelers rookie cornerback relishes Beckham assignment. Steelers rookie cornerback Artie Burns said he, quote, definitely wants reps against Odell Beckham when Pittsburgh hosts the New York Giants on Sunday.
Careful what you wish for.
Trevathan becomes 15th Bear to IR in 2016. Linebacker Danny Trevathan is the 15th Bears player to land on injured reserve this season after he suffered a ruptured right patellar tendon in Sunday's loss to the Titans.
Like I said, the Bears have had a terrible year and it keeps on getting worse. What they say, they have 15 guys on the IR. That's a lot, and I guess if you're going to have a shitty year, you might as well have everyone get hurt to get it out of their system.
Kubiak, Broncos need to handle emotions better. Denver Broncos coach Gary Kubiak said Monday his players have to handle their emotions better after cornerback Aqib Talib shoved Broncos wide receiver Jordan Norwood.
Well, Aqib Talib is going to shove that guy whether they're 15-0 or 0-15 because he's a punk piece of shit. That's just his blood. That's just who he is. That's just how he was raised. That's just who he is. So you're going to get that from Aqib Talib, whether you're going to win a Super Bowl or whether you're going to lose to the Chiefs in overtime. So I think that it's all for naught.
Jets sticking with Fitzpatrick as starting quarterback. Not only is Todd Bowles sticking with Ryan Fitzpatrick at quarterback, but the Jets coach said he didn't give it a second thought. Fan favorite Bryce Petty never merited consideration this week.
It's when you're the Jets. I guess he played well enough to put them in front of the Patriots with 4 or 5 minutes to go, but they still lost the game. I still think you play the kid and see what you got in him and get some snaps under his belt with nothing to play for. But I guess Todd Bowles is fighting for his job, I would say. So he needs to get as many wins as he can so it looks better on paper when they go to fire him at the end of the year. So I think that's probably the main reason. Raiders
Carr says fingers shouldn't be a problem. Raiders quarterback Derek Carr said his injured right pinky finger will still hurt and was swollen, but he expected no lingering effects.
He's a gamer. He's definitely an MVP candidate this year. He's had a hell of a year. This guy he's like a silent assassin. You don't hear much from him, but he just wins games.
Eagles guard Brooks hospitalized with illness. The Eagles' patchwork offensive line took another hit Monday when Brandon Brooks was hospitalized due to an illness and missed the loss to the Packers.
The Eagles suck.
Sources: Falcons defensive lineman Claiborne has torn MCL. The Atlanta Falcons are on the verge of losing one of their top pass rushers, defensive lineman Adrian Claiborne, for an extended period of time after Claiborne tore a ligament in his left knee.
Yeah, that's not good, especially with a Falcons team who their defense has always been suspect. I don't think Atlanta is ever going to go anywhere in the playoffs because of their defense is never there. they can never rely on their defense, and then with one of their top defenders getting hurt, it's not going to help matters.
Fisher, Rams relocation tough, but no excuse. Another season is slipping away from the Los Angeles Rams, and Jeff Fisher knows he must shoulder the blame.
Yeah, Jeff Fisher sucks. He's a terrible head coach. I mean, this guy is, he's 7-9, 6-10, 8-8, and he just never makes playoffs. And for some reason, the Rams keep him for some reason. He's a terrible head coach. They had a glimpse of hope, early on in the season, and then they just shit the bed. So I don't think anyone is a Fisher fan except for those who run the LA Rams, and they're going to continue to have losing seasons if he's the head coach.
Dickerson, Fisher banned me from Rams sideline. Hall of Fame running back Eric Dickerson said Monday in a phone conversation with ESPN that Rams coach Jeff Fisher basically told him he didn't want him on the sideline due to his criticism of the team.
Well, you got to look at it a couple ways. Eric Dickerson, wants to be on the sideline, and Fisher told him no because he comes out and verbally, abuses Jeff Fisher and his team and the players. So I see it from both sides. Obviously, Dickerson was he's a Hall of Fame running back that played for the Rams, but what people don't know is that, listening on the radio yesterday in 1987, he was doing everything in his power to get traded from the Rams just because he hated in LA, and now he's coming back, and just because he wants to be on the sideline, he can act like the Mr. Ram. So I see both scenarios, but basically, if you come out and verbally and say Chris Winke's a terrible, quarterbacks coach and Jeff Fisher sucks, if someone said that about me, I wouldn't let them on the sidelines either. So.
Jerry Jones says Cowboys won't lessen Elliott's workload. Cowboys owner Jerry Jones says the team will not lessen rookie Ezekiel Elliott's workload over the final few weeks of the regular season.
Well, they will. If they got nothing to play for, if they wrap this thing up and they take the number 1 seed and have 2 weeks left, you're not going to see Ezekiel Elliott get 20, 25 carries. The only bad things can happen.
Bar worker suing Manziel, claiming broken nose. Johnny Manziel is being sued by a bar employee who says his nose was broken when the former Cleveland Brown and Texas A&M quarterback punched him.
Johnny Manziel just won't go away,
Panthers place centers Khalil Gradkowski on IR. The Panthers will be down to their third-string center after playing Ryan Kalil and Gino Gradkowski on injured reserve.
Yeah, Ryan Khalil is a Pro Bowler center. He's he's a great center, but having a third string center is definitely gonna hurt their chances of possibly putting together a run to win that NFC South. So we'll see what happens.
Saints Cooks hints at frustration with his use. Saints wide receiver Brandon Cooks hinted at his frustration with being targeted 0 times in 45 snaps Sunday in an Instagram post Monday.
Well, the fact of the matter, he has to understand that he's the best receiver on that team, and the opposing team's going to want to take him out of the game, and that's if they did that, then they did their job effectively. The team still won, so he needs to keep his mouth shut.
Sources, Pats and Cannon reach 5-year extension. Patriots right tackle Marcus Cannon, who is scheduled to be an unrestricted free agent after the season, has reached a 5-year deal with the team.
Great signing. He's quietly had a very good year. I think all the credit goes to Dante Scarnecchia, who he just has this magic potion that he has every year to figure out the offensive line for the Patriots, which is really night and day compared to last year, which last year was terrible. This year, obviously, you're looking at the same group, but you haven't heard much from the offensive line, which is a good thing. Good for Marcus Cannon.
Sharper handed 20-year sentence in rape case. The 20-year sentence for Darren Sharper marks the end of prosecutions in 4 states for the former All-Pro safety who won a Super Bowl with the Saints.
Yeah, this guy's a piece of shit. He I think he raped and molested over 16 women. And he got charged with 2 or 3 of them, so he's going to jail for a while. So that's good. He really deserves to be in jail and never to see the light ever again.
Bills signed Logan Thomas to roster to play tight end. Former quarterback Logan Thomas was signed to the Buffalo Bills' 53-man roster to play tight end 1 day after the Detroit Lions signed him to their practice squad.
Yeah, I think we just talked about this.
Yeah, but he was going to be a tight end for the Lions, and the Lions must have released him, and now the Bills signed him as a tight end.
Okay.
So how do you like those apples?
Good for him. Like I said, the more you can do, the better chance you have of keeping your job.
Listen to this. Justin Tucker of the Ravens says this. Give teams a point if kickoff splits the uprights. A day after Ravens coach John Harbaugh proposed giving teams a point if a kickoff splits the uprights, his kicker Justin Tucker echoed the idea on the Dan Patrick Show.
No, that's stupid.
Latest Super Bowl 51 odds. Chalk presents the latest odds for every NFL team to win Super Bowl 51, courtesy of the Westgate Las Vegas Superbook. The New England Patriots are the favorites at 7-5.
I jump on the Raiders if I'm betting on that. Really taking the Patriots, unless you're betting $100,000, it's not a good bet. 7-5. But I would put money down on the Raiders.
Cowboys.
Cowboys are probably right there at 2-1. But if you wanted to, sure. I mean, then you got to look at the teams that really you're going to look at the teams with the best odds are the teams like the Giants. This would be a great time to put a lot of money down on the Giants because you're going to get great odds. They're going to be probably the fifth seed. But anytime you have Eli, who's won a lot of playoffs games on the road, they're going to be a road team throughout the playoffs because they're not going to win their division. So. I would put on the definitely on the Giants on the AFC. When you look at the Dolphins, will probably be a 5 or 6 seed. But I think there's really no underdog that you could see running the table, and maybe the Steelers, but we'll see.
Peyton helps Eli and Giants with Steelers game plan. Peyton Manning stopped by the Giants facility Tuesday, offering advice to the team from his Hall of Fame career in the NFL and tips about Sunday's opponent, the Steelers.
Good for him. That's he's doing that for his brother. So hey, the Giants aren't going to kick him out of the building ever. So if he's there to add help, then they'll take it. Rams Fisher. Eric Dickerson is always welcome. After Eric Dickerson vowed never to come to a Los Angeles Rams game, quote, as long as Jeff Fisher is the coach. Fisher responded by saying that he wants Dickerson to be around. I don't know what to it's a war of words for a team that sucks. So let him on the field. Who gives a shit? Or put him in the stands. Who gives a shit? They just stop talking about it.
RG3 cleared for contact. Will practice next week. Browns quarterback Robert Griffin III was cleared for contact and will practice next week. Quote, we are evaluating him to see if he can be the quarterback, Coach Hugh Jackson said.
He'll play if he's ready because they don't have any better option.
Okay. Marcus Cannon, an all-time great Patriots comeback story. After overcoming non-Hodgkin's lymphoma and a draft day slide, Marcus Cannon proved himself at right tackle, leading to a 5-year extension.
Good for him.
Unselfish Julio Jones wants to make sure others are playoff ready. The Falcons' star wide receiver isn't concerned about touches. He just wants to continue to see his teammates get involved to prepare for the playoffs.
That's a true pro right there. Brandon Cooks needs to take a page out of Julio Jones' book.
Okay. Case of mistaken identity torments ex-Steelers safety Will Allen. Having his picture associated with a Ponzi scheme felon by the same name hurts Allen's family in charitable efforts.
That sucks.
Vikes Peterson runs sprints ahead of schedule. Viking star Adrian Peterson, who has been out since September with a torn meniscus, is, quote, ahead of schedule and is running at practice.
They need him back as soon as possible.
Giants' Eli Manning apologizes to rookie wide receiver Sterling Shepard. Sterling Shepard said that quarterback Eli Manning apologized to him on Tuesday, feeling bad about not targeting the receiver once in Sunday's victory.
No, that's a bunch of horse shit. Okay? Everyone needs to check their feelings. We can't be sensitive Sallies. If he's open, he'll throw you the ball. If you're not, then he's not going to throw you the ball. The bottom of that line is that you won the game, keep your mouth shut, and focus on next week. You don't have to apologize to anybody for winning. You don't have to apologize. If he's open, he's open.
Public spat between Jeff Fisher, Eric Dickerson, PR nightmare for Rams. The Rams are newly returned to LA and not playing well, so a tiff between a legendary player and an embattled coach is the last thing they needed.
Correct.
Cardinals coach Bruce Arians is not used to losing. This is the first time in his NFL head coaching career that Bruce Arians is losing this deep in the season. Still, he says Arizona can get it right.
No, it's too late. But, you got to give him a lot of credit for always being a winner. But, in order to be a good winner, you have to experience, being a loser. All
right, so let's go right on into the scores. What happened last week. So let's go right on into it. Vadix went 9-7, so he is now 92, 81-2. Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr. went 13-3.
Wow.
So he is now 108, 65-2. CV Gunn went 10-6, so he is now 103, 70-2. And Yes to Anything That Is Cool Awesome also went 13-3.
Wow.
So he's 111, 62-2. Now last week I went 10-6. I am now 98, 75-2. And Mclovin went 13-3.
No shit.
So he is 114, 59-2.
13-3. That's a hell of a job.
That's a hell of a job, and it's a hell of a job because now Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr. and Yes to Anything That Is Cool Awesome do not get gift cards this week because they tied you.
Oh boy.
So let's go right on into
the. Am I up on?
Yeah, well, let's go into the standings here. So Yes to Anything That Is Cool Awesome is in first place in their division. 3 games back is Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr., 8 games back is CV Gunn, and 19 games back is Vadix. For me and you, I am 16 games out. You're in first. And you're in first. You have a 3-game lead over Yes to Anything That Is Cool Awesome. You are 114, 59-2.
That's pretty damn good.
And he is 111, 62-2.
Which is pretty good, too.
Yeah, so how do you like those apples?
Well, I mean, hey.
It's a sexy scenario, isn't it?
I don't think I'm ever going to get beat, but we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens. Now, last week against the spread, you went 9-7. So you're still at 60% for the year.
Correct.
The highest you ever were was 67. That was the first week of the season.
Yep.
But anyway, we've been hovering in the 60%.
Which is really good.
Okay. Now, let's go into Thursday's game, tomorrow night's game. It's a sexy game. It's a Mclovin type of a game. It is Dallas at 10-1, going up against Minnesota at home, 6-5. Cowboys are -3 on the road.
Take the Cowboys -3. Cowboys are playing unbelievable football right now. Both these teams played last Thursday, so they've had a full week to get ready for this game. Sam Bradford is still questionable as far as him playing. But after watching, these two teams play last week, I think Dallas is clearly the better team. I think in a 4-quarter game, they're going to figure out how to win this game, by 4 to 10 points. And Thursday night game, national televised game, the Cowboys always play better. Even though Minnesota's at home, I don't think that's going to make a difference. So definitely take the Dallas Cowboys -3.
Chiefs on the road against Atlanta. Atlanta at home -3.5.
I'm taking the Chiefs plus the points. The Chiefs went into Denver last week, and I had them plus 3.5 at Denver, and they won outright in overtime. I think the Chiefs' defense is really good. I think their offense is good enough to score points. I think Atlanta is a one-dimensional team. So if the Chiefs can stymie that offense and score enough points, I think the Chiefs will cover the spread at 3.5.
Lions against the Saints. Saints are at home. Saints are favored by 6.
I'm going to take the Detroit Lions plus the points. Detroit's now at 7-4. They're a really good team. Stafford. It's going to be a shootout between Stafford and Drew Brees. But basically, I think 6 points to give to a team that's really playing well this year is a lot of points, especially how inconsistent the New Orleans Saints are. Even at home. So take Detroit plus the 6 points.
Rams are heading to New England. New England's favored by 13.5.
I'm going to take the Patriots minus 13.5. I just think they have too much firepower against a terrible Los Angeles Rams team. I think this is a time for New England to get all their frustrations out. You know, they haven't really put a 4-quarter game together in a little while. So I think they're going to, beat the Rams by 2 touchdowns, maybe even 3 touchdowns. I think Belichick against a rookie quarterback, I think, he's going to, he always thrives on, against a rookie quarterback. So I think, it might be a close 10 to 12 point game for the entire game, but I think the Patriots will figure out a way to win by 2 touchdowns.
All right, so we got the Broncos heading into Jacksonville, Denver on the road -4.5.
This is a tough one, Jacksonville is very feisty at home. I mean, I'm going to take the Broncos minus the points. I think the Broncos can go into Jacksonville and, they might be close for the first half, but I think they can pull it out, by more than 4.5, 5 to 6 points. I think they're clearly the better team. This is a must-win for Denver, which really changes the way you got to look at the spread. Jacksonville really doesn't have anything to play for; they're done. So I think it's going to be a close game, but I think Denver is going to pull it out and cover the spread because I need to win this game.
Texans are heading into Green Bay. Green Bay at home, favored by 6.5.
This is a tough one. Houston is really not that good of a team, but they're winning that division. Which is a sorry division, the AFC South. I'm going to take the Packers minus the points. I think if anyone watched that Monday night game, Aaron Rodgers probably played his best game of the year. He made some unbelievable throws. The offense, they didn't turn the ball over. He didn't really have any pressure on him. So I'm going to take the Green Bay Packers coming off a road win against the Philadelphia Eagles minus the 6.5.
All right, then we have the Eagles heading into Cincinnati. On the road, the Eagles are favored by a point.
I'm going to take the Eagles -1. Cincinnati, without A.J. Green, is nearly the team they are with him. I think Cincinnati's season's over, and I think they have a lot of people on their team, a lot of guys on their team that have already mailed it in, especially on the defensive side of the ball. I think Philly still, can score enough points to beat them, and I think they'll win by more than a point. So I'd take Philadelphia minus the 1.
Dolphins heading into Baltimore. Baltimore at home, favored by 3.5.
This is a good game. This is a really, really good game. This is going to be a close game. And I've gone back and forth on who I think's going to, cover the spread here. The way Miami's playing, I think they're going to be in the game, pretty much for the whole game. But I still think Baltimore at home, especially with a solid field goal kicker, will win the game, and I think they will cover the spread. So take Baltimore minus the 3.5.
Yep. San Francisco's heading into Chicago. It's even.
It's a tough one. I would usually normally go with San Francisco because I have ties with them, but I'm going to take the Bears.
Okay, then
for no reason, then they both suck.
The 4 or 5 p.m. game, Buffalo heading into Oakland. Oakland at home, favored by 3.
Oakland, I'm going to take Oakland minus the points. Buffalo is traveling across the country. I think Oakland, had really that game over, early on, and against Carolina, and they allowed Carolina to get back in the game, but still, won the game, didn't cover the spread because they, it was 3.5, and they only won by 3. I think that they'll stymie the Bills' offense, and I think they'll win that game by 6 to 7 points. So take Oakland at home minus the 3.
All right, Giants are on the road in Pittsburgh at the 4:25 game. Pittsburgh at home, favored by 6.5.
I'm going to take the Giants plus the points. Giants have won 4 in a row. I know it's 4 games against some bad football teams, but still, anytime the Giants are on the road, and that's a big number for the Pittsburgh Steelers to cover, so I'm taking the Giants plus the points.
Washington in Arizona. Arizona at home, favored by 2.5.
I'm going to take Washington plus the points. I think Washington's going to win this game outright. I think Arizona really doesn't, even if Arizona plays great throughout, it's still going to be tough for them to make the playoffs. I think Washington really has something to play for, so that's why I'm going to take the Redskins. And they're going to score a lot of points against Arizona. So take Washington plus the points.
Tampa Bay heading into San Diego at home. San Diego favored by 3.5.
Tampa Bay at San Diego.
Yeah.
I'm going to take San Diego minus the points. I think San Diego is a team that can score a lot of points. They played well at Houston last week. Philip Rivers, has had an unbelievable season. No one talks about him because their record is still under 500. But, Tampa's coming off a big win against the Seattle team at home. But I still think Philip Rivers and crew will score enough points to cover the spread. So take San Diego minus the 3.5.
All right, now Carolina, the Sunday night game. Carolina's heading into Seattle. Seattle at home favored by 6.5.
I'm going to take Carolina plus the points. I think that's a lot of points to give Cam Newton and even though Seattle has really been an up and down team, more up than down, but coming off a terrible loss to Tampa Bay. I know it was on the road, but the offense wasn't there. Obviously losing one of their better cornerbacks is not going to help them. Look to see Ted Ginn have a couple long receptions. I'm going to take Carolina plus the points.
And then Monday night's game, Battle of the Sexiness. You got Indianapolis in New York to face the Jets.
Oh, God.
And Indianapolis on the road favored by 1.5 points.
Is Luck playing?
Yes.
I'd take Indianapolis plus.
I think he's playing. He hasn't been cleared, but supposedly he's playing.
Yeah, they need him to play. Take Indianapolis, minus the 1.5? The Jets are the Jets. They suck. Last time they played on Monday Night Football, they got raped by Arizona, and I think Indianapolis just for the main fact they have a better quarterback to win that game.
All right, the byes this week were Cleveland and Tennessee. So straight up pick'ems. We got Dallas and Minnesota. Who do you got?
Dallas.
All right, then we got Kansas City and Atlanta. Who do you got?
Kansas City.
All right, I'm going to take Atlanta. You have Kansas City. Detroit, New Orleans.
New Orleans.
Okay. L.A. and New England.
New England.
Okay. Denver, Jacksonville.
Denver.
Okay. Houston, Green Bay.
Green Bay.
Okay. Philadelphia, Cincinnati.
Philadelphia.
I'm going to take Cincinnati.
You're 16 games down.
I know.
You should just be really picking the teams I picked.
Sure. Miami and Baltimore.
Baltimore.
I'm going to take Miami.
You have to.
Yep. Yeah. San Francisco, Chicago.
Chicago.
I'm going to take San Fran.
Why are you looking at me?
Buffalo and Oakland.
Oakland.
Okay. New York Giants and Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh.
Okay. Washington, Arizona.
Washington.
Okay. Tampa, San Diego.
San Diego.
Okay. Carolina, Seattle.
Seattle.
I'm going to take Carolina. Indianapolis, New York.
Indianapolis.
All right, so we only differ on 5 games. I can get it down to 11, or I could be fucked. All right, pretty much fucked. So it's your father's favorite time of the show. I mean, he loves this part, doesn't he?
Oh yeah, him and my mom, they sit there and they say, "I can't wait for the EDP section of the program," because of we have to watch this video. Did you see this video?
No, I'll watch it in a sec.
Do you know what? Did you see the he overflooded the toilet at Chipotle?
No, that was a couple years back.
Oh,
that's an old video.
Oh,
that's a way old video. That's a way old video.
Andy, what's going on, man? What's poppin'?
Hey, what's up, man? So here's the thing. So we got some news and notes here.
Okay.
All right. Let's start with your upset of the week. Who do you have?
I don't even know who's playing, man. I'm at the gym, dude. Let me get to my NFL app really quick.
You want me to just read? You want me to just read you off the matchups?
No, it's cool, man. I'm right here, dude. I'm bringing it up right now.
All right.
Let me see here. Okay, games. Let's see here. So, my upset of the week. Let's see. Whenever this shit loads the fuck up. God damn, this shit's slow as fuck. Okay, upset. I got the Rams over New England. No, I'm just fucking around. Let me see here. Upset. Shit, I don't know. Minnesota over Dallas. There we go.
Okay,
That's a good one.
That's a decent one. Mclovin agrees with the scenario. All right, so we have 5 different games. Me and Mclovin differ on 5 different games. So let's go right on into it. Atlanta and Kansas City. Kansas City is in Atlanta. Who do you have to win that game?
I got Kansas City, man. They're on a hot streak, dude.
All right, so Mclovin picked Kansas City. Next up, we got the Bengals coming into town, or the Eagles going into Cincinnati. Who do you have?
You know what? It's funny, man. Every time these teams play each other, dude, it's always weird as hell, man. Dude, the last time we beat the Bengals, dude, was Christmas Eve of the year 2000, dude. So, I would say I'm going to give the game to Cincinnati, dude. I think we're done with Singers. We need shit.
All right, me and you agree on that portion of it. Then we got Miami and Baltimore. Miami's in Baltimore. Who do you have?
I got Baltimore.
All right, Mclovin picked Baltimore. San Francisco's heading into Chicago. Who do you got in that one? The Toilet Bowl.
San Francisco is heading to Chicago. I got the Bears, dude. Chip Kelly, man. He's fucked, man.
Rumor has it that he may be trying to go back to Oregon after they just fired their coach. What do you think about that?
Yeah, man. I wish he would have went back to Oregon, man, after we fired him.
All right, Carolina's in Seattle for the Sunday night game. Who do you have?
Oh, man. Yeah, I got Seattle, dude. It's tough to play in. It's tough to play in Seattle, you feel me?
All right, well, Mclovin agrees with 4 out of the 5 of your picks. Like always, Mclovin and you are on the same page. EDP, thanks a lot for stopping by again this week. We'll see you next week.
Hey, man, I appreciate you guys for having me on, man. Just it, dog.
All right, man. Take it.
All right, cool.
And that's the show. See you tomorrow for a sexy Scratch Ticket Thursday with your host, your sexy co-host, Sexy Kenny. What do you think of Sexy Kenny?